Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm going to start with a sigh, a big fat sigh, because I have been really debating dropping a video in regards to this subject, but I feel like I can't settle within myself until I speak on it. So I was like, I'm just going to drop a video today and see where it goes. So in regards to everything that's going on right now, especially towards like Black Lives Matter, following the George Floyd death, it's been an uproar of people, you know, wanting to relieve racism from the world, and it's been an uproar of ignorance from racists, basically. So this is just this is hard for me, because like I've grown up, yeah, being mixed, obviously. So those of you who don't know, my dad's half Nigerian, so his mum was white and his dad was black. My dad's half Nigerian, my mum's white. So growing up in school, there wasn't really any black people. Like, I'd say in lower school, I reckon there was about 2, and then me, that was mixed, and probably 1 or 2 Asians. And then growing up and then going into middle school, because that's how my area done it. Again, there wasn't a lot of black people. I'd say there was a bit more than in lower school. There was probably another 4 or 5 in like the entire school, and then that increased as the years went on. I did notice when I was in like year 6 that like more black people have moved into the neighborhoods. There was more black people in like the school, which was great. But and then going into high school, like, it again, obviously majority of the pupils were white, but there was an increase in the ethnicities in the school. So for me, a part of me, like, I've always really wondered about my like my black side. So my dad's dad died when my dad was 12, and obviously that was my dad's like direct connection to, you know, his African heritage. So he's predominantly grown up in a white environment, do you know what I mean? Obviously he's got a brother and a sister who are both mixed as well, like same mum and dad. And, you know, some people, which annoys me as well, I think this is a racist term, but some people refer to my dad as coconut, you know, black on the outside, white on the inside. To be fair, it's just weird. It's weird. Like, I grew up like, fucking, I'm not white, but I'm not black. So I was like, I was afraid to act too black in case people were like, what are you doing? But then I was afraid to act too white in case like black people were like, what are you doing? Like, you know, it was confusing for me. Like, I had people call me quarter coon. I had people talk to me about flipping, how'd you get here on your fucking banana boat, or whether it was in a slightly jokey way or not, like, it still is a fucking issue. And I would retaliate. You know, I'd call people honkies. I would. You think I'm gonna sit there and let you chat racial fucking slurs at me? You're mad. So I feel like it's just, for me, I haven't experienced any, I can't specifically talk on fully black people, yeah, because I have not experienced that. I am not that person. I do not know what they go through on a daily fucking basis, which is why I'm getting really frustrated with white people trying to dictate how black people should feel about racism. You ain't black. You are not black. You do not know what that person goes through on a day-to-day basis. You don't know what Asians go through on a day-to-day basis, yeah? So what gives you the right to say that racism doesn't really exist in the UK? Because it fucking does. I was chatting to my dad earlier today, and he was saying how, I was just like, what was it like, obviously, for you? Because my dad's like 52 years old, do you know what I mean? He was born in the UK, he was born in Islington, and then he moved back to Africa for a bit, and then they come back to the UK. And my dad was saying, he was just like, I remember my mum his mum telling him a story about how she was walking down, she had my dad in the pram, my auntie next to her, and then, you know, just walking to local shops, and, you know, people are driving past in their car, like, screaming, like, racial slurs at, like, my auntie and my dad, spitting at my nan, because she's obviously chosen to settle down with a black man. And just experiencing shit like that. Can you imagine that? Being like fucking like in your pram when you're young and there's people screaming aggressive shit and spitting at your mum because she's chose to love a black man. I just find it mad. I find it so crazy. And like, obviously that was 50 years ago, and the acts of violence may not be as open as they once were, but it's definitely still there. Like, I was talking to someone the other day and they were saying how, you know, 140 or something white people were killed in police custody last year, over the last 10 years or whatever. And, you know, only 10 black people were killed in police custody over the last 10 years. Oh, sorry, I think it was 13 actually. Yeah, around 13. And then 10 were from other minority groups. So, but when, and then they're like, so yeah, so more white people were killed in police custody than black people in the UK. That may be the case, but when you look at it from those numbers, yeah, it looks awful. But when roughly 86% of the UK population is white, and about, I think it's like 4.4% are either black, African, black, Caribbean, or black mixed. When you look at those numbers, it's kind of like, oh. So say 9% of arrests over the last 10 years were black people, and 8% of those people died in police custody. Yeah, that's leaving 1% that didn't die. But then when you look in the comparison to white people, 79% of arrests in the last 10 years have been white people, and 85% of those white people were killed in police custody, yeah, leaving 6%. So when you think of the vast majority, do you know what I mean? The comparison on how many white people there are into how many black people there are, you can't even fucking compare it. You can't even fucking compare it, because it's fucking, to even sit there and try justify it to me, yeah, like you're not gonna have a chance. Like you won't. Do you know what I mean? I won't even listen to your conversation. Like I will be arrogant about it, because it's fucking stupid. I find it absolutely crazy. Like, I've been in corporate businesses, yeah, where the whole board team is white. I think I was in a corporate business for like 4 years, yeah. It was the first corporate business I was in. When I first started, the whole board team was white, and then I think within the last 2 years they increased. I think they got one Asian on the board, and you know, it's a global company, bearing in mind, yeah. So to think, out of all those people, all of them men are white. Or what were the men? Well, they were all men. I think there was one woman, and everyone else has been white, yeah, white males. So you have that. So I can't remember what I was saying. So yeah, so when you look at like that sort of level, because we talk about equality for women, you know, we want the same pay, do you know what I mean? But then black people want the same opportunities, do you know what I mean? They want to be able to be treated the same as flipping white people. So I was speaking with some of the Asian guys that I used to work with, and some of the black people that I used to work with, yeah. And they were saying to me how for them to even get considered for the role that they were in, they had to fucking change their name. They had to change their name. They applied for the job twice using their, you know, their authentic name. And then they've had to change their name to even be considered for the role. So their skills are there, but because of their name and because of their potential background and the stereotypical behaviour that fucking people use nowadays, and the discrimination people are using, that is very, very much discreet. Like, companies ain't stupid. They're smart with it, man. They're smart. They're just fucking sly. And I think that's worse. I honestly think that's worse, because they're acting like they're for you when they ain't for you. Do you know what I mean? It's when people are trying to tell me that racism doesn't exist in the UK, it fucking does. One of my friends is with an Asian guy, and he is like never broke the law in his life. Never will. He ain't that type of man. And he is continuously stopped because he drives a nice car, because he works hard and he's got a good job, and he's continuously stopped by police. There's no reason for police to stop him. Just routine checks. Okay, so why are you having to stop man 11 times in the last 6 months? Do you know what I mean? Like, just fucking, I don't know if that was the actual number, but wouldn't surprise me. It was very close. It wouldn't surprise me. And then I've got white friends that are driving cars that are just as nice or nicer that have never been stopped. So I'm just getting frustrated because I'm sick of hearing white people scream all lives matter, when if all lives did matter, you'd be fighting for Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. You would. Because you would remove yourself from that bubble that you're in, and you would see the oppression that black people and minority groups are going through. So it's just really difficult for me, because it's like, even like people that I've valued quite highly in my life, they're giving me their opinions, and it's like, you don't even realise that they don't even realise they're being racist. Do you know what I mean? It's like literally that programmed in them that they don't even realise. And it's like, people are telling me, like, we'll be talking about the people like George Floyd. You know, he was a thief, he was a rat-tat-tat. Yeah, he wasn't a great person. And like, this whole uprising has not happened just because of George Floyd. It's happened because George was the straw that broke the camel's fucking back. You know, he was the lead for it. Do you know what I mean? The people had enough. Do you know what I mean? And this is why everything's exploded into this absolute madness. And I don't agree with the violence and the looting, and, you know, I don't agree with any of that. But when people are like just fucking sick to death of having to just continuously fight all the time, do you know what I mean? Just to be considered as fucking equal just because of the colour of their skin, like, it's a fucking problem. Like, it is. It's a massive fucking problem. And if you don't see it, you need to read up and you need to fucking educate yourselves, because I'm actually tired of it. Because there's some people that have been amazing, do you know what I mean? And then they weren't aware of this sort of stuff. And then since all this has happened, they've read up, they're talking to their black friends, they're talking to communities, do you know what I mean? And they're informing themselves and educating themselves. And then you get the other group of people where it's just like, they want to be like, oh yeah, well, this black person killed this black person, and, you know, okay, so that's civilian on civilian crime. That's not the government that's going to be protecting us and serving us, oppressing a certain group of people because of the colour of their skin, or the stereotype that they want to put them in without even getting to know them as a person. Do you know what I mean? That's the issue that's going on here. So in regards to the whole situation, I just feel like, shut up. If you're screaming all lives matter, one, you're stating the fucking obvious, and two, shut up. Just be quiet. Just don't even get involved. Do you know what I mean? Because, well, do get involved. I want you to get involved. I want you to fucking read up and actually educate yourselves to actually understand in a fuller perspective. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just draining. And I don't like, and I'm not saying that all white people are bad, because they're fucking not. But a lot of people are just conditioned to not even realise that, like, the remarks they're making, or, you know, the way they move is even racist. And that's what scares me, because I'm like, you're neglecting to even, you know, have that self-awareness to be like, oh my god, like, what I just said then was wrong, or what I've done previously was wrong. And if you have done that and you have recognised that, then move to change it. Do you know what I mean? Educate your peers, educate your families, because a lot of this comes from the old generation. Racism's learned. It is literally fucking learned. So I just feel like, educate yourselves, please. I'm going to leave some links of some books that you can read, and just to obviously get a better understanding of everything, and just be fucking mindful. It's like that saying where it's like, if there's a row of 5 houses and one of those houses is on fire, the fire brigade's not gonna fucking spray all 5 houses, are they? They're just gonna spray the one that's on fire. And black people are on fire right now. Do you know how many people have been lynched in the US over like the last couple of months? 11 people have been hung from trees, and they've all been classed as suicides. You can't fucking tell me that that's fucking suicide. I'm sorry, but no. Especially in a fucking time like this, like, nah, not fucking happening. So please just educate yourselves and be mindful. You know, if you're a white woman and you've got a mixed race baby, definitely be educating yourselves. You know what I mean? Ask your peers questions. You know, if they're the type of people, it's the way you address situations, isn't it? When white people are coming like hella aggressive, like they've got a counter argument for everything, you're just weaponising your own bias. Like, just stop. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not about, okay, this has happened to black people, but this has always happened, this has happened to white people as well. Like, it's not a fucking competition. Do you know what I mean? As a whole, people were talking about unity. Yeah, unity. We all need to come together as one. It's not about white versus black and black versus, it's nothing to do with that. It's about all of us coming together as a unity and being like, this needs to fucking stop. Like, we all deserve equal opportunity and equal rights. So I'm gonna leave this video here. I actually stayed a little calmer than I thought I would. I've previously tried recording this and it was just me effing and blinding and getting well mad, and I just thought that's not a healthy way for me to communicate this issue. So yeah, just do what you can, guys. Educate yourselves. In regards to BLM as a movement, sorry, it's a final thing. In regards to BLM as a movement, really be careful where you're donating to, because I've been doing some research and apparently there's like BLM as a movement and then BLM as a charity, and the charity apparently donates the White Democratic Party, which is all about basically manipulating black people to vote for them. Do you know what I mean? In an unhealthy manner, in a way that's not actually going to benefit black people. So when it comes to donating and wanting to make a difference, please make sure that you're researching where you're donating your money to, and just share information. Like, this is the best thing that you can do in times like this. You know, make people aware. And it's draining going on social media at the moment. Like, my mental health has taken a bit of a decline, but I don't mind, because these are issues that, you know, are going to be fucking making history, and I want to be a part of it. I want to have a positive impact on this, and I feel that everyone should. So thank you for watching, guys, and I hope you are going to be educating yourselves and looking after your black and ethnic minority friends very much. Okay. Mwah. Loving you.